by conditionals? Well, I mean conditionally show some content depending on whether we want it to, basically, right? So we can use a conditional called vueIf, it's a directive, or we can also use a directive called vueShow. And there's a subtle difference between the two, and I'm going to show you the difference later on. But first of all, I want to create two buttons which are going to kind of handle the functionality of this conditional. So the first one, right here, is going to toggle some kind of error data, right? So we'll say toggle error. And the second one is going to toggle a success data message. So we'll say toggle success, right? Okay, cool. So what I want to do is give each one of these a click event. So we'll say v-on and it's click. I'm going to set that equal to something. Whereby the error is going to become the reverse of what the error currently is, right? Now, I know this isn't defined yet, but we'll do that. In a second, but I'm going to do exactly the same for the button down here, except this one is going to be success. So we're going to have two variables stored on our view instance. It's right here in the data object, and we're going to do that in a minute. One's called success and the other is called error. So the idea is that these buttons are going to toggle whether those variables stored here are going to be true or false, right? So when we click this, it's going to toggle it between true and false. When we click this, it's going to toggle the success variable between true and false. Makes sense? So let's quickly create those two properties here. So we'll say error is false to begin with, and also success is false to begin with too. Okay, cool. So now we've got our two properties, and these two buttons right here are going to toggle them. So let's just make sure that these buttons are displaying. Yep, okay, and they're not doing anything currently because this isn't really linked up to anything. It's just changing them from true or false, and it's not doing anything. So now I want to create a conditional using vueIf, right? So the way we do that is by saying p and then v-if and setting it equal to something which is a boolean. Now, if this boolean is true, then this paragraph tag here will show, right? If this is false, then this paragraph tag won't show. So let's set this equal to error, yeah? So vueIf equals error. So if this error data is false, then this won't show. And remember, it's currently set to false right here. So this will not show currently, but when we toggle it, then it will show. Okay, let's just add some text in here, and we'll just say there has been an error, just so we can see it. And then I'll save that. If we come down to the browser, if we toggle the error, you can see when we toggle it, we're making that error property true, and therefore, since VIF will now equal true, it shows. If we toggle it again, we're making that error property false, and therefore VIF equals false, and it won't show. So I just want to inspect this element for a second, and if you can see right here, the P tag is in the DOM. If we click toggle error, the P tag has been removed completely from the DOM, and we just see this little comment where it was, right? So it's taking it out and it's putting it in the DOM completely. So let's just do the same with success for now. Let's just copy that and paste it down below. And this time, this is going to be success, right? So we'll save that now and check this out. So we can toggle success. And it still says there has been an error, and that's because we've not changed this. And instead we'll say, woo, success. Or something like that. Okay. So now if we save this, check it out, toggle, yep, we get a success message, toggle, yep, we get an error message. But we can show both of these at the same time, which is a bit weird because you don't generally have an error and success at the same time. So what we can do is say, instead of VIF, we can say V else if, right? So now it's going to check this first of all. If it's true, it will show this, okay? And if it's true, this won't show even if this is true, because we're saying else, okay? So only if this is false will it move on to this and then check if this is true. Makes sense? And then if this is true, it will show this. If it's false, it won't show this. So if we save this, check it out in a browser. So first of all, we'll toggle success, and that works. Then we'll toggle error, that works. Then we'll try and toggle success, and now it's no longer showing, okay? Regardless of whether this is true or false, toggle success, or success rather, it's still not showing. And that's because we have this else if. So it's only checking this else if statement if this is false, right? Makes sense? It's a bit like JavaScript programming. You've got your else statement and your else if. So that's a simple little example to show you how these work. I want to show you one more thing, and that is vShow. So I'm going to comment those out. And underneath here, what I'm going to do instead is 2 more paragraphs. So P and then v-show. This is a different directive, but does a very similar thing. And I'm going to set that equal to error again. And inside here, we'll just copy this text. There has been an error. And also I'm going to do one more for the success. So this is going to be vShow equals success. And ooh, success. Okay, cool. So now this is going to do a similar thing. It's going to show this element if error right here is true, and it's going to hide it if error is false. Same for this one. If success is true, it's going to show this, otherwise it's going to hide it. So let's view it. We'll say toggle error, and we get exactly the same behavior. Toggle success, the same behavior. So what's the difference between vShow and vIf? Well, if you remember, when we inspected this element, if we toggled the error, then it took it out completely. However, vShow, when we toggle it and it becomes false, just gets a style of display none. It doesn't take the element out of the DOM, okay? It just gives it this style of display none, and that's the subtle difference. So there we go. There's some conditionals using vIf and vShow, and these are going to come in handy later when we're serving different content to the user dependent on different statuses or different properties within our data.
대학교 졸업